Have you ever wondered how England became the country it is today? It's a story packed with ancient mysteries, epic battles, powerful kings, and revolutionary ideas that changed the world. Let's take a whirlwind tour through thousands of years of English history. From stone circles to the digital age, our journey begins in the mists of prehistory, long before recorded history. Hunter-gatherers roamed this land. But around 3000 BCE, something incredible happened. People began building massive stone structures that still mystify us today. Think of Stonehenge and Avebury, colossal monuments built by a society we know so little about. What were they for? Celestial calendars. Sacred temples. We can only guess, but their existence tells us that a complex and organized society was already taking root. As we move into the Bronze Age, around 2500 BCE, metalworking arrives, and with it, change. Farming communities flourished, and trade networks began to connect England with the rest of Europe. Then came the Iron Age, the era of the Celts, or Brit. These were fierce, tribal people living in impressive hill forts, whose culture and religion were deeply tied to the natural world. They were the dominant power in the land, but a new, formidable force was rising across the Channel. In 43 CE, the Roman Empire set its sights on Britain. Emperor Claudius's legions landed, and for the next 4 centuries, England was but a province of Rome. The Romans were master builders and administrators. They gave England its first towns, like Londinium, and connected them with famously straight roads. They built luxurious baths, grand villas, and in the north, the mighty Hadrian's Wall, a colossal barrier to hold back the unconquered Picts of Scotland. Along with their architecture and laws, the Romans also brought a new faith. Christianity began to spread throughout the province by the 4th century, but no empire lasts forever. In 410 CE, with Rome itself under threat, the legions were withdrawn, leaving Britain vulnerable and exposed. The power vacuum was quickly filled. Waves of migrants from northern Europe, the Angles, Saxons, and Jutes, crossed the sea. They established a patchwork of new kingdoms, like Wessex, Mercia, and Northumbria. This is the period that gives England its name, England. The old Romano-British culture faded, and a new Anglo-Saxon one emerged. Christianity had to be reintroduced, famously by missionaries like St. Augustine in 597. But just as these kingdoms began to coalesce, a new threat appeared from the sea: the Vikings. From the late 8th century, these fierce Norse raiders terrorized the English coast. They came to plunder, but eventually they came to stay, conquering and settling a vast territory known as the Danelaw. The very existence of England was at stake. It took a legendary king, Alfred the Great of Wessex, to halt the Viking advance and lay the groundwork for a unified English kingdom. His successors would continue his work, and by the 10th century, the idea of England was finally becoming a reality. But its destiny was about to be decided by one single, fateful day. The year is 1066. The English king dies without a clear heir, and 3 men claim the throne. After a series of brutal battles, it all comes down to one: the Battle of Hastings. Here, William, Duke of Normandy, defeats the English King Harold, and with that victory, everything changes. The Norman conquest was a turning point. William the Conqueror brought with him a new French-speaking aristocracy, a strict feudal system, and a passion for building stone castles that still dominate the landscape today. England was now tied more closely to continental Europe than ever before. The medieval period that followed was an age of faith, chivalry, and conflict. Great cathedrals soared towards the heavens, while English kings clashed with their powerful barons. This tension famously boiled over in 1215, when King John was forced to sign the Magna Carta. This document, originally a peace treaty, established the revolutionary idea that nobody, not even the king, is above the law. It's a cornerstone of modern democracy. England's identity was also forged in the crucible of war, particularly the 100 Years' War against France, a conflict that lasted 4 generations. The era ended with yet more bloodshed at home: the Wars of the Roses, a brutal civil war between the rival houses of Lancaster and York, which finally ended in 1485, when Henry Tudor seized the crown, founding a new powerful dynasty. The Tudors brought stability in some of England's most famous monarchs. Henry VIII, desperate for a male heir, broke with the Catholic Church in Rome, creating the Church of England and changing the course of the nation's history forever. Then came his daughter, Elizabeth I, the Virgin Queen. Her long reign was a golden age. She faced down the mighty Spanish Armada in 1588, sponsored daring explorers like Sir Francis Drake, and presided over a cultural flourishing that gave us the plays of William Shakespeare. When Elizabeth died without an heir in 1603, the crown passed to her cousin, James VI of Scotland, who became James I of England, uniting the two crowns. But the Stuart kings believed in the divine right of monarchs, putting them on a collision course with an increasingly assertive parliament. This conflict exploded into the English Civil War in 1642. The country was torn apart. After years of fighting, the parliamentarians, led by Oliver Cromwell, were victorious. King Charles I was executed in 1649, and for a brief, radical period, England was a republic, but the monarchy was restored in 1660. The tensions didn't disappear, however, leading to the Glorious Revolution of 1688, which finally established a constitutional monarchy, where Parliament held the real power. The 18th century ushered in the Georgian era. While the Hanoverian kings reigned, political power shifted further to Parliament. But the biggest change was happening not in palaces, but in workshops and factories. The Industrial Revolution began in England, a period of invention and innovation that would utterly transform society. Canals, and later railways, spread like a web across the country. People flocked from the countryside to work in the new mills and factories of rapidly growing cities like Manchester and Liverpool. England's economy boomed, its trade dominated the globe, and its influence spread through a vast and growing empire. This brings us to the Victorian era, named for Queen Victoria, whose reign from 1837 to 1901 saw the British Empire reach its zenith. Britain was the workshop of the world, the leading industrial and naval power. The famous red of the British Empire colored about a quarter of the world map. It was an age of incredible progress, confidence, and invention, but also one of stark contrasts, with immense wealth alongside terrible poverty in the sprawling city slums. It was a time of great social change, as reformers began to tackle these deep-seated problems. The 20th century shattered this Victorian confidence. Two devastating world wars changed everything. England, as the heart of the UK, suffered enormous losses in World War I and World War II. It stood defiant against Nazi Germany, with London enduring the terrifying aerial bombing of the Blitz. After the war, the world was a different place. The great British Empire was dismantled, and at home, a modern welfare state was created, promising health care and social security for all. The later decades saw deindustrialization, massive social change, and a new debate about England's place in the world, particularly its relationship with Europe. And that brings us to the 21st century. England today is a vibrant, multicultural nation, a leading center for finance, culture, and innovation. It has hosted the world for the 2012 London Olympics and navigated major events like the 2008 financial crisis. And, of course, the 2016 Brexit referendum saw the UK vote to leave the European Union, a decision that continues to shape England's path and its relationship with its neighbors and the world. From the ancient stones of Stonehenge to the bustling, global metropolis of modern London, the story of England is a rich and complex tapestry of invasion, rebellion, innovation, and resilience. It is a history that has not only shaped a nation but has also left an indelible mark on the entire world. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this journey through English history interesting, please hit that like button.